in Stuttgart. It's ringside. Chop shop. Ding ding round one. Ding ding round one. Christmas.
Hello there, it's obviously pantomime season. You're a disgrace.
You're a Scrooge. I was having a great time out there. Someone even recognised me.
You're dismantling this famous German market.
Yes, I was. That didn't go down too well. Didn't go down too well at all.
I'll tell you what, I think there's one or two champions out there doing a bit of shopping.
I recognise one or two of them. I wish I was serving Glenn. I wish I'd have served Glenn at my store. You should have come and got some chestnuts on.
Some of the finest British talent. Wandering the cobbles. No.
Yeah, it looks like an elf. That's what you tell him, boys.
Our own Glenn McCrory alongside Sheffield star Kell, Brook, and our world super middleweight champion Carl Froch. Great to see you guys.
Boys, you've made the trip out here to Stuttgart, enjoying it?
Yeah, it's great. The Christmas market's fabulous. It's one of them when you want to take your family around and grab one of them big German sausages, and it's got a real nice Christmas feel about it, so it's nice.
What about you, Kell? Enjoying it out here?
Yeah, you can feel it in the air. You know, fight night's coming. Great to be. It's cold, but we're enjoying it.
Nice buzz, isn't it?
If I'd seen those chestnuts, Johnny, I'd have been over there, mate. They look nice.
You didn't buy that hat, did you?
No, I didn't. No, got it for Kell.
Everyone's talking about the fight, though. It's big news here.
It is big news, and I think it's good because you've got two very good competitors. Darren Barker is top of his game. He's a world champion. But Felix Sturm, he wants to win it for the fourth time, and I think the public, really want to see him get it back again.
You've travelled all the way out here, so you've obviously got a lot of faith in your man, Darren Barker.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's on the crest of a wave at the minute. It's a great win last time out, and if he can keep that mentality together going into this, I can't see him being in any trouble at all. I mean, I think he'll outbox Sturm. It's not going to be easy. And Sturm is a big name in Germany. I was asking the driver on the way here from the airport, and he's very well known. He's famous. So he's going to be cheered in the arena, and he's going to be looking to put on an impressive performance. So Darren Barker needs to concentrate, needs to be at his best. But I can't see an upset.
He's going to have plenty of British support out here, Darren, because of the year he's had. Wonderful. It's finally come to him, hasn't it, Kell?
Yeah, I think there's about 1,000 come out. We've all come out here to support him. In his last performance, I think now he knows. He's a world champion. He's coming here full of confidence. And, I expect to see the best out of him, Saturday night.
Germany's not the easiest place to win here, Glenn. Do you think it's going to intimidate down at all?
No, I don't think so. He's travelled a lot as an amateur and as a professional, so he's not worried about that. I think if in Germany, if you win the fight, as you well know, John, you've campaigned out here and won decisions here.
We were with him yesterday, weren't we, Glenn? And he was spot on, wasn't he?
He was, he's the best I've ever seen him. He was full of confidence. He looked so well physically. He's bang on the weight. Everything seemed to have went really well. No nagging injuries, which were, he's so used to getting. So I think he's in a very good place.
Good signs there when you saw him sat in his hotel room, Carl.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if Darren does what he can do, he's going to keep Sturm long, and it's not going to be one of them close decisions which is debatable. It's going to be a one-sided one. If he pulls it off, it's going to be a clear winner, using his range and mixing it up at times. But if Sturm does his usual tight defence, stand in front of him, I think Barker outboxes him quite simply.
And excellent to see him cool and calm ahead of such a big defence here, Kell.
Honestly, I've just flew in today and I've seen him today. Coolest I've ever seen him. I think now, he's a champion. I think he's going to make a statement. He knows that, Macklin and Murray's been in with him. And I think that speaking to him, he thinks he's the best out of them two. I think so. For this, he's going to go out there, and I think he's going to really put it on and make a statement.
Darren Barker really on his travels. Of course, he went out to the States that triumphant August night when he beat Daniel Gill. Preparation's been pretty good here this week, and Andy Scott has been following him every step of the way.
In a very different setting to Atlantic City in August, the scene of his famous victory over Daniel Gill, IBF king Darren Barker arrived into Stuttgart on Sunday, ahead of his first title defence against Felix Sturm.
get a few of these.
Wednesday should have been an opportunity for the public to watch the fighters train, but with a huge demand for tickets, the show is already sold out, meaning the Monday press conference was the only media commitment of the week for the Londoner.
This is my time. There's no chance, zero chance that I will lose this fight. You know, I'm so confident and I'm ready, and I know what it takes to beat Felix, and I'm looking forward to putting on the performance on Saturday and showing the world again how good Darren Barker is.
Both men were keeping their tactics under wraps, although the challenger believes little should be taken from his recent performances against British opposition.
Against Martin Brook, I've been, in my opinion, both fights was very, very close, but both fights was not my best performance, and I'm a different guy right now. I'm a different fighter right now.
Whereas Barker believes this is the first of many defences to come.
A lot of people say, oh, now you've won a world title, what next? But I want to secure some legacy. That's why I'm coming to Stuttgart, taking on a former great champion. But, you know, I'm also looking forward to a long reign as world champion.
Some have pointed to the German's advancing years as a possible weakness. At 34, he's 3 years Barker's senior.
Joe Calzaghe is one of my role models, and Joe had his best fights at the age of 34, 35, 36. Floyd Mayweather is right now at 37, or he will become 38 in March, and he's still in tremendous shape, and he's still in the pound for pound king. Bernard Hopkins is 48, and age is just a number, nothing else.
On Tuesday, the British team ventured into town for some retail therapy.
Should have had one of these instead of a pair of boxing gloves. A lot easier. That's what I thought. I'd love to live with that.
Never lose it, do you?
Nah, never had it. It's nice to get out with the lads, have a mooch about town and a bit of retail therapy, so yeah, it's nice to switch off.
Germany's got happy memories though, isn't it? Because one of the last times you were here was during the Champions League final.
Yeah, I love you for bringing that up. Yeah, it was brilliant. A few of the lads, we drove down to Munich, 12-hour drive, and watched the Mighty Blues pick up the Champions League. That was a special one, but this will match it, beating Felix Sturm on Saturday.
The group have based themselves away from the heart of the industrial city centre, distancing themselves from the fight venue, which sits in the shadow of the famous Mercedes-Benz factory.
It's very quiet. I'm either watching the news or thinking about the fight, which is a good thing, I suppose. So I'm completely tuned in. But yeah, nice surroundings, but different from home.
With all of the camp completed back in Essex, trainer Tony Sims has been finalising preparations with pad work in a makeshift gym situated in a conference room of their hotel.
We're just ticking over now until Saturday really. He's done all his training, he's put 10 hard weeks in, so we're just doing a bit of pads today, sharpening speed work really.
Just double jab from right hand, yeah. Come back right. Not going to get any fitter. I'm as fit as ever, so it's just about being nice and sharp and just getting a few rounds out really.
The latter part of the week has seen plenty of downtime, with Barker's main concern being how to overcome the boredom while staying focused on the job in hand. What's your day consisting of mostly?
Rest up and watch the news. Okay. Literally, I know I'm up to date with everything. I know all the current affairs, I know all the stocks.
You know
I know the weather for the next fortnight, so it's just about resting now, chilling out and you know, preparing myself physically and mentally.
Well, Felix Sturm is staying in the city. Darren has got a hideaway in the mountains, probably a good thing.
A perfect thing. He now knows he's Premier League, so he can't. There's no room for error. Everything has to be done correctly. Do you agree that, you know, Darren realises now he has to get everything right, Glenn?
Yes, I think that, you know, they've got everything right in the preparation, and he feels like that. No injuries, you know, they put him out of the way. I think the big thing this week's been a little bit of boredom for him, you know, but I think that'll be a good thing. You know, frustration and pent-up anger will come out in the ring. At the moment, he's very, very relaxed and looks great.
Carl, out in Atlantic City, it was such a fight, wasn't it? You know, he had the body shot when he went down, and everybody thought, would he get up? He somehow managed it. He's admitted since he doesn't really know how he did it, but he did, and he got through that tough affair with Gil.
I think that was his mindset and his mentality going into the fight. It was a man on edge, a man on fire, if you like. He was really, really determined And if he's got that same mindset for this fight, I can't see a problem at all. But no, it was unbelievable stuff. He climbed off the floor to then win the fight. You know, and it was a fantastic fight to watch and an unbelievable occasion.
I think that fight made everything click for Darren Kell.
Absolutely. Obviously, with that fight, you know, he knew going into that fight, this was like his last chance kind of thing. He went in there, he got put down with one hell of a body shot, and you have to think, is he going to get up? And I don't know how he did it. He got up, and what a fight after that, what he did. He come back and unbelievable what he did.
Real champion's heart, Glenn, and we've talked many a times off camera. Maybe he didn't believe he was going to beat Sergio Martinez, but he thought that he'd get through Gil, didn't he?
He had a great deal of confidence for the Gil fight.
Yeah.
He went into that knowing he was the sort of fighter he could beat. I think he overestimated Martinez as a great champ. Maybe thought he wasn't quite up to that challenge, even though he went through with a lip service. He went through saying it. We didn't quite believe him. But Daniel Gil, we knew that he was up. He thoroughly had me convinced when I spent time with him.
Carl, you know first-hand how good Darren Barker is. You're sparring with him.
Yeah, I've been sparring him for many years. You know, we've used each other for big fights over the years. I can remember sparring Darren Barker when I boxed my first world title in 2008 against Jean Pascal in Ireland. He was there with me for a couple of weeks. And, you know, as the years have gone by, he's become more confident and more relaxed. He's sitting down on his punches a little bit more as well. He's not flat-footed, but when he's punching now, you can feel the weight in his punches. And that helps, you know, in the pro rankings from the amateurs, and he's going to start to hurt his opponents as the fight goes on.
So same skill set but more power.
Yeah, exactly that. You know, he's very fast, he's skillful, he's got quick eye-to-hand reflexes. He likes to throw the right hand over the jab. He's got a quick jab, and he's obviously got the amateur pedigree because he won a gold medal in the Commonwealth Championships, Commonwealth Games. So he's proven himself at amateur level, and now he's turned over to the pro. It took a few years for him to get his head around it, but he really is on the crest of a wave. He's at the top of his game as a professional now. He's the man to beat.
But someone who proved himself as an amateur and again as a pro's 20th world middleweight title fight, Felix Sturm, and we've seen him in against Macklin and against Martin Murray. Tough customer.
He is a tough customer, and we had the pleasure of listening to him yesterday because we didn't get to say much, did we? Because he can't talk as well as fight, but he's proven it. He's been at the top in world class for a decade now, so he knows what it's all about. I was very pleased to see how much of a boxing fan he is as well. You know, he really knows his boxing, knows all the amateur stuff, so he's very educated. You know, he's a top-class fighter.
Close fights with Martin Murray and with Macklin as well, and the judges could play a part too in Germany.
Exactly. So he's going to have that in mind. He's going to be thinking to himself, there were close fights against Macklin and Murray. Darren Barker believes he's the best of them three. He believes he can beat Murray and beat Macklin as well. I've spoke to him. I don't think he makes any secret about it. So if he thinks they've been involved in close fights that potentially they could have won, I think a draw and a loss, but maybe the decisions were close because they're out here in Germany, he'll be taking that into the fight and thinking, well, if I can box and use my movement and range, I could get a points decision, or I could even force a stoppage. But I'll be thinking of winning one round at a time and taking his boxing ability into this fight and using his movement and his ring craft.
Out in Germany, Felix Sturm, he's pretty big news, huge sportsman, and a little earlier Andy caught up with one of the senior members of Team Sturm.
So with a sold-out arena of over 8,000 people, it's obvious that Felix Sturm's popularity is still very strong here in Germany. Carsten Malman, you know all about him, you're his promoter. Why is Felix Sturm so popular?
I mean, Felix is a very specific and a very special sportsman. He's somebody who has no scandals, he's very clean, and he has a beautiful wife, he's good looking in a way, and so that's basically what's parts of his popularity, plus of course his big sportive achievements in the past.
The fight at the Porsche Arena sold out. You said on Monday it could have sold another 1,500 tickets easily.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, we have started really to sell also in particular and to activate also Felix real fan crowd, and they have done a tremendous job. And his fans are all over Germany. I mean, as you know, he is from Bosnian origin, born in Germany, and it's a big community, and they're all very sports interested, and they follow us now since 2-3 shows massively, meaning even the last show in Dortmund was a big success and a complete sellout, and it's the same here. So we're really happy for the event and looking forward to, and it's a complete sellout, as you just said.
We're looking forward to it too. Thank you, Carsten.
Thank you.
complete sellout, and word that Sebastian Vettel may be ringside, and he's friends with footballers, top footballers as well, Sturm. He's a popular celebrity here.
But let's not forget, Adam, this is a fight he has to win to keep that celebrity status.
Yeah, very important fight, obviously, in Germany this weekend. Plenty happening stateside too for you, including the return of Barker and Sturm's middleweight rival, Matthew Macklin. More about him next. Hello again, a very cold welcome back to the Stuttgart Christmas market here. I've had to do the coat up, actually.
What cold? I'm a Yorkshireman. We're men's men. We don't need... Don't zip up, we're all right.
I don't know if this trio are feeling the cold a bit. Glenn, Kell and Carl. You don't feel that, do you? You're okay?
Well, Kell's feeling a bit more than most of us.
I tell you, you might still be feeling it. Ed Robinson, we left him the other side of the world out in Canada after Tony Bellew's defeat to Adonis Stevenson.
Here in the picturesque Quebec City on Saturday night, Tony Bellew challenged Adonis Stevenson, the hard-punching Canadian, for the WBC light heavyweight title.
Tony on the top, big left hook. Tony threw the right hand, but he took a short left in the process, took it well.
Nice right to the body from Bellew. Missing badly, and tag. And Bellew's going to watch that, the legs just a little bit wobbly there for a moment. And Bellew catches another couple there, and this looks like it could be a bit of trouble as Stevenson looks to unload, and Bellew just gets a little bit of daylight again, but he's still stuck on the ropes. Slips the first left hand, another one came in and got him though, and caught again, and this is not looking good for Bellew at all. Oh, and he's caught him again, but Bellew landed one as well, and Bellew's going for it, got him down! And they're ruling that a slip. He's got it, he's nailed it, Bellew on the floor. Up quickly, but not sure where he is, I don't think he's suffering in there, he's struggling. 5, 6. And he's wobbled and rocked, and that is going to be stopped, and the dream has just died for Tony Bellew.
Maybe it might be a time for me to jump up in weight now. Someone else has moved up in weight recently, you know, and it might be time for me to do it, you know, might have been one too many.
Bellew understandably heartbroken, but Stevenson with a natural challenger in the co-main event, as Sergei the Crusher Kovalev from Russia took on Ismail Silak.
Oh, he's nailed him, he's nailed him. That's what he does. He's up and unsteady and has no idea where he is. And if he's allowed to continue, he could be in big trouble here. Well, he's getting a few extra seconds there. Marlon B. Wright has given him a chance, but that's what he does, and that's over. Done. He is lethal. He is brutal. He is a beast.
A long time ago, you know, he said that I'm nobody, you know, like. Okay, I will show you who I am. I did it.
Chief support was a world-class, all-Canadian affair at welterweight between the unbeaten Kevin Bizier and Jojo Dam.
And new NABA welterweight champion and mandatory IBF opponent for the welterweight championship of the world, Jojo Dam.
Also on that bill, middleweight puncher David Lemieux scored multiple knockdowns on his way to a stoppage against Jose Miguel Torres in 7 entertaining rounds. So an entertaining night in Canada, but not the 31st birthday that Tony Bellew had hoped for.
So disappointment there for Tony Bellew. Just lost to the better guy, didn't he, Glenn?
He did. It was always going to be a big ask for him to go out there and try and take the title away from Stevenson, who's really boxing so well, coming off a couple of great inside schedule wins. So it was going to be tough. It proved that way. He tried to box to plan in the first half of the fight, but you know, as soon as Stevenson started letting those big punches go, it was a bit too much. But you know, he did his best out there, and you know, he can come back and regroup.
Case of levels and timing, Kell, do you think?
I think it were, yeah. You know, he's the best in division, you know, one of the best in the division. I think the plan with Bellew in that fight were, you know, to box on the back foot, you know, out-jab him early on, you know, and come on late on in the fight. But obviously, you know, his unorthodox style, big puncher, you know, but like you know, like Glenn said, he's got to regroup. They were talking about going up to cruiserweight. Got to sit back and see what he wants to do.
Carl, Stevenson was shouting your name out afterwards as a potential opponent, but Kovalev also boxed on the night with an early stoppage. When was you impressed with Stevenson?
Yeah, Stevenson did very well. I mean, Tony Bellew's a great fighter and is a dear friend of mine. I'm devastated about the defeat, first and foremost. I think the relevance with calling me out was the fact he was #1 mandatory for the IBF, a stage for the IBF title at super middleweight, and then he steps up to light heavyweight, and he's proven to be a very good fighter at light heavyweight. And I think because I boxed Jean Pascal and because Bernard Hopkins also boxed Pascal, and I boxed Boutte as well and beat both of them, he was calling them out for the fans. He was sort of saying, you know, people in Canada would want to see me fight either Hopkins or Carl Froch. So I think that's why he said that. But I don't think he's got any plans of coming back down to super middleweight. I've certainly got no plans of going up to light heavyweight. But it made for a bit of an interesting story for Quebec and in Canada. But I can't see that fight happening, to be honest. I think Stevenson's found his feet at light heavyweight, and he's really, really doing well.
Next Stevenson, Kovalev, maybe the dream match out. No rest for promoter Eddie Hearn, who's really been clocking up the air miles. He's in the market with Andy.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure which time zone he's on, but he's arrived into Germany with the news that your dad's going to be inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame. A very proud moment for the Hearn family.
It was. We didn't know which Hearn they were supposed to induct, but I wound him up about that. But no, I'm chuffed for him. He's given a lot to the sport, and he was genuinely chuffed this week.
You've just come in from Canada. Disappointing weekend for Tony Bellew. What went wrong against Adonis Stevenson?
I think he just come up against a very, very good fighter. You know, he prepared fantastically well, no excuses. You know, there was glimpses in the fight where it looked like he could hurt Stevenson. I'd like to see him push him back a little bit more, but it's difficult. He was very difficult to hit. But I think it's time for Tony to move up to cruiserweight now. I think he can do a lot more with his body and his power. And, you know, he's a huge puncher, but we're not seeing it at 12 stone 7. So in March, the big return of Tony Bellew up at cruiserweight.
Straight into the Lions' Den, into Stuttgart for Darren Barker, but people said you're mad for letting him come here, but a very confident team I've seen all week.
Yeah, and listen, you know, the reason Darren Barker's in this sport is to achieve, but also to provide, you know, a future for his family. We've got a fantastic deal to be out here. It's a huge opportunity financially for Darren, and it's a huge opportunity to secure a legacy, to come and beat a great like Felix Sturm in his backyard. And I think Darren's gonna comprehensively beat him. I think he can do it, and that's the ultimate reason why we're here. Of course, you know, I secured the rematch clause and neutral judges, even though that he's the mandatory challenger. So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity and a wonderful fight that I think Darren's going to come through with flying colours.
And just finally, Carl, the Cobra Froch is over there with Adam and Johnny. Any news from a promoter's point of view about what's next?
No, not really. I want to let the dust settle a little bit. You know, there's a long time before Carl Froch fights again. You're looking at next summer. For me, as a fan, the fight I want to make is Carl Froch against George Groves. But Carl's got a lot of options. You know, I was with HBO last week talking about Chavez, talking about Golovkin, talking about Ward. I appreciate what the UK fans want, and I'm one of those people. So hopefully we can get it made. There's a long way to go, but you know, that will be our focus moving into the new year.
That's the focus. The dust has settled, Carl. Any indication it's what the public wants, isn't it? Unfinished business with Groves.
Well, apparently, I mean, it's sort of 50-50 split, and the longer the people get to think about the fight and rewatch the fight, you know, the opinions are changing a lot. But like Eddie said there, I've got a lot of options moving into the new year. Not at the minute, no. I mean, I like to move forward in my career. Any old ground I like to go over is for a defeat, so it was nice to avenge the Mikkel Kessler loss. It'd be nice to avenge the Andre Ward defeat, if that can possibly be made. And then there's a couple of other options which I'm going to speak to with Eddie, and like I say, make an informed decision.
What surprised you about Joe Groves' performance that night?
Nothing really surprised me, to be honest. I mean, I surprised myself because I walked into a bit of a shot in round one, which isn't ideal. But I pulled myself, you know, back through that, boxed for the rest of the fight, and then forced a stoppage in the first round of what I call the championship rounds. You know, 9, 10, 11, 12. That separates the men from the boys. Don't forget, boxing used to be 15 rounds years ago. It's now 12. I prefer the old format when it was 15 rounds, and I prefer the referee to let the fight reach a natural conclusion. But things have changed, rules have changed. But I'm very, very happy with the result. You know, 9th round TKO against a young, ambitious, hungry, unbeaten fighter. Because that's the facts, that's the result. I'm very, very happy with it.
Froch Groves, of course, big news. Also amongst the heavyweights, David Hay, we don't know whether he's going to fight again. David Price gives up the British title, and around here it's all about the Klitschkos. We see on the television sets in the Ukraine, Vitali's calming the people down, isn't he? He's lost in politics, isn't he?
He is. Vitali's doing a great job up there, keeping the country stable. I think he is going to move to politics very soon, but it's exciting times. You know, I mean, you know, we're out here looking at a big middleweight title fight. And, you know, last week it was Tony, and the week before. I mean, we've just been, you know, it's so good. We've got so much to look forward to in the future.
But it's cold here, it's cold in the Ukraine. I tell you, it's time to go to a sunnier part of Europe where Matthew Macklin has been preparing for his big comeback.
At least my beer's nice and toasty, not like here. Freezing!
The experienced southpaw skills of Jamie Moore against the orthodox strength and promise of Matthew Macklin.
I remember getting to the arena that night in Salford, and there was definitely something in the air that night. It was just going to be one of those nights.
This is a hard fight, and who is the harder man?
It's a good right hand from Macklin. Who felt that one?
Going through a fight like we did certainly builds a bond between two fighters, what you can't explain.
He tries to come back, great left, cross from Moore, and now Macklin is wobbled.
It's a strange sort of thing, but I don't know whether it's a respect what you get for each other because you understand what you both went through.
I know what it takes to dig that deep, and I know that he was able to do the same. So from a respect point of view, you know, I know there's not too many people that could have done that. He was one of them that did.
What training Matthew Macklin has done. Hats off to Billy Graham, Kerry Kay's in the team. Oh, that could be done. He won't get up from that. 10th round, Macklin down.
It was a dramatic end, and I was in an ambulance, you know, to hospital. I was on the brain scan. I was on a drip overnight. But you know, Jamie came to the hospital with his manager Steve Wood, and it was, like I said, it was never a good match anyway. But it was, you know, there was a bit of rivalry there and a little bit of, you know, expectation. It was never a good match, and we always got on well. And if anything, the respect and the friendship grew. I remember by the time the Martinez fight came, it was almost like, rather than really couldn't wait for the fight to come, it was almost like, I just can't wait for this 10 weeks to be over almost. I just thought, as the fight comes, I thought, you know, whatever happens with this fight now, I think, you know, I'm going to base myself in Spain. The weather's great. I've been spending all my free time there in between fights. There's great weather, there's great hills for running. When the idea kind of developed about coming here, we just, you know, this place was available, and, you know, it just escalated really. But yeah, it was more that I'd kind of got sick of being on the road and thought I wanted to get based and get this stability. You know, it's great to go to different places. I think it builds a lot of character and it makes you mentally tough. But I think there's a lot to be said for being for a bit of stability too. I mean, after the Golovkin fight, a few things in the build-up didn't go well at all. Basically, I knew before the fight, when there was a draw, I wouldn't be training with Buddy McGirt again. But then after the fight, I thought, you know, I'd done a lot of thinking. I thought, you know, I want to come back here. I don't want to be sitting in hotel rooms anymore in America for 6 weeks at a time. Jamie called me out of the blue and said, oh, can we meet up? It was 7 years nearly to the fight. I've got a few things there that could you sign for me? Like pictures, posters of the fight. I said, yeah, sure. So we met up to sign these few items and ended up spending the whole day together.
He was asking me about Tommy Coyle, seeing about training methods and stuff, what I'd been doing with him. And obviously picking my brains at the time, which I didn't realise, and then he just gave me a call one day, out of the blue, and said, how would you feel about training me for for the next fight.
Little things were just in my mind. I thought, well, I just slept on it a little, and then the more I thought about it, it just seemed like the perfect choice.
So that speed of foot, that change of pace. You want to see really how he goes about his work himself. So not me cracking the whip and telling him to do things, but just observing, watching him on the bags and stuff. And when he's got to put a hard session in off his own back, how does he go about it? And straight away I could see, he's determined. You can see he's always fit, and the work rate, what he puts into a fight is always great.
Jamie's coming on at a good time for me. I think I've had a tough career, I've had some really hard fights, but there's a difference between battle hardened and being shot worn. And I believe I'm battle hardened. I don't believe I'm shot worn, because even though I've had some tough fights, I've had some early knockouts as well. I've had a lot of early fights finished up, so there are no miles on the clock.
We've had long conversations about the fact that he has been taken away from a little bit from what he does best, and I know what he does best. That's certainly definitely body punching, that little bit of the rhythm, pressure, but he's got an underrated jab as well, and he sort of neglected that over the years, not probably used as much as he should have. Don't give it until I get near the rope. So if I'm not near the rope, just stamp me down, get me down. A big part of it is for me to just remember, what the game plan was, and go back to it and not get involved in and little stuff like that. I mean, it's more about tactics per fight rather than me changing him as a fighter. I would never want to change him because he's a world-class fighter anyway.
I thought I performed really well against Felix Sturm, and I thought I got robbed. I thought I won the fight clearly. I mean, it was a good fight, competitive all the way, but I thought there was only one winner. Sergio pushed him close. Golovkin coming with a great shot, and he was on top anyway. I think he's a special fighter. I've always been open for the fight with Andy Lee. He was offered it. Brian Peters offered him a couple of times in writing, best burst of his career at the time. He turned it down. He had no reason to turn it down. It wasn't this time he turned it down this year. It was because he'd only had one fight with Adam Booth, and he said he was adapting to a new trainer. Fair enough. But Barker's world champion now. That's a fight that I was meant to fight Barker a couple of years ago. It's a fight I'd love. I was happy for him at the fight. I was glad he won. I seen him with his family and how emotional he was after it. It's one of boxing's good stories. It's a nice story. And then I mixed the feeling thinking, that was the fight I wanted, Daniel Gill. And then it was also inspiring as well to see what he's gone through with his injuries and when he was thinking of retirement, and now all of a sudden he's world champion. So there's a lot of emotions going on and a lot of feelings. But next year I'll be looking for another shot at the world title. And I believe being with Jamie, training out here in Spain where I'm comfortable, I think it'll only add some performances and make me perform to my best.
It's a strange business, isn't it? With Macklin and Moore together. We remember Gatti and Ward, didn't we?
A very odd turn of events. Kell, could you imagine having a former opponent train you out there in the warm weather?
It's a weird one, isn't it? But obviously, they've shared the ring together with one hell of a war, a fight, and they seem to have clicked. So it's working for them.
From warm weather out to the east coast and cold. Macklin's got this Lamar Russ who's undefeated. He's tall, he's young. It's difficult for him at this stage, isn't it?
It is difficult. I think that the big trial for him is seeing if he can still get up for a fight like this, because he's been around a long time. He's been in a lot of big fights, and now he's fighting a young undefeated opponent, who's tall, who's rangy, who will give him different sorts of problems with a new trainer. So there's a bit to go for, but it'll be good to see how he handles it, and looking forward to seeing him back
on the same bill. Rigondo's boxing. We'll expect him to put another show on.
Yeah, definitely. Rigondo, one of the pound for pound best. I'm expecting big things from him. It's definitely an exciting bill, that's for sure.
Very exciting, Bill. Don't miss the international action this weekend. Early hours of Sunday morning, Matthew Macklin's return, Rigondo against Joseph Ogbeko, the undefeated Glenn Tapia against the big punching James Kirkland, also on the card. It all starts at 2 o'clock, Sky Sports 1. And that's not the only bill in America this weekend. We've got Malignaggi and Judah, as well as Devon Alexander and Sean Porter. This is your world, Kell.
This is my world. Very interesting fights. Paulo Malignaggi and Zab Judah. Very good fight, and obviously I'll be, I've got the eye on, Devon and Porter. So that's my neck of the woods right there.
What do you think happens with Alexander and Porter? Porter, who's sort of flash. Some people say he's a poor man's Mosley. Can he upset Alexander, do you think?
You know, anything can happen in boxing, you know, but, you know, I think Devon, for me, you know, he's operated at the higher level. You know, for me, I think that he's got the fight for me. But obviously, you know, it's interesting, you know, to find out what happens.
Let's not forget Liverpool this weekend. Darren Matthews and Liam Smith have had a good year so far.
Well, Derry Matthews, what a great year he's had. You know, we were counting Derry out a few years ago, and you know he's reinvented. Yeah, and he's great. You know, I'm a fan of Derry Matthews. You know, he's always going to bring excitement. He's always going to bring a bit of power. He knows the game so well, and it's good to see him have a bit of an Indian summer. And at this end of his career, he's still winning fights. And Liam Smith, as one of the Smith brothers who, you know, just go on to bigger and better things all the time.
One former fighter who provided plenty of excitement. He's in Germany. He's also been inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's congratulations to Joe Calzaghe.
Very proud, you know, I was given the news, 25th anniversary as well, and to be inducted same year as greats like Felix Trinidad, not so that high, obviously it's great for me and my family. All the years of hard work, and also my dad, you know, so yeah, I'm very proud.
Is it quite humbling as well? Like you mentioned the guys that are being inducted this year.
Oh, very humbling, you know, it's brilliant, you know, to be recognised, especially stateside as well, for what my achievements is fantastic, and not everybody, you know, every world champion can get in, and that's it. My name's going to be up there, so it's brilliant for my family, like I said, and yeah, I feel very humbled by it, and I'm gonna really enjoy going over and being inducted in June. Fantastic.
You're a close friend of Darren Barker. We're in Stuttgart now. You come over to see the fight with Felix Sturm. How do you see that one going at the weekend?
Yeah, of course, it's a tough fight for Darren, but you know, I think he's in the ascendancy. I think after his last win against Kell, which was a fantastic win, I think with the confidence of that win, he's not going to want to let that go. And I think, you know, Steven's been a great champion over the years. Obviously, you know, coming to fight in his own country, you know, he's up against it. But I really fancy Darren to win this fight. I think if anything, Sturm has been champion long enough. His time is over. And I think Darren's going to improve hopefully from his last fight. I think he's got the tools definitely to win this fight.
He's a good mate of Darren Barker's and one of the great British fighters we've had. Really pleased about that for Joe.
This is a good career, well deserved.
These guys are looking on. Maybe one day Kell and Carl could be in that Hall of Fame. I think it's a bit late for you two, possibly. You never know.
Johnny's had a fan over here though. Somebody came up a minute ago, so there's still time, Johnny.
He has had a fan. British boxing absolutely buzzing. After the break, we meet one of the hottest trainers at the moment, Tony Sims.
Obviously waiting for the decision seemed forever, seemed like eternity, and when we just heard them words, we just all erupted.
It's the countdown to Christmas here in Germany, a real feeling in the air. We can't wait for Barker Sturm this weekend, can we?
Adam, it's freezing. I've had to don the hat. Glenn, Kell and Carl, you're out of luck because Father Christmas only dropped me one off.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Now to somebody who's been doing some work for us this week, Andy Scott, who went to meet Tony Sims.
Good response again from Barker, but Gill's putting everything into these last few seconds, and everybody's on their feet. And Barker finishing strongly.
For the winner and new IBF heavyweight champion of the world,
When we just heard them words, we just all erupted. It just seemed unbelievable that all them years of training, all them years of disappointments, with injuries that he's been through, to hear that moment in his life. Also, my life ain't just about me and Darren, it's about Darren's family, my family, the gym. It was about all that one moment, that feeling, you know, it was unbelievable. I feel like I've done a job that I started in the beginning, and I feel like the purpose of the job was winning the world title, which Darren done, and now the purpose of my job is obviously to take him through his defences. As a young trainer starting out, you always have that in your mind that you'd like to take someone from start to finish and become, you know, the champion of the world at the end of it. You know, it's a dream for every trainer to do that. But obviously you've got to have the right fighter to work with as well. And you know, I don't really think and put myself up on a pedestal, or I don't think of myself as a top trainer. I'm just doing my job at the end of the day. Coming through with Darren has made it all that much better. It was an emotional feeling, you know. I sort of knew what Darren Barker went through because I've been through it a few years previous. I tragically lost my sister in 2001. When you lose a younger sibling in your family, it's like you're never really the same person ever again. Even though you get on with life, you're never really that same person inside. So I sort of knew where he was coming from. I trained his brother Gary as well as an amateur, so I was quite close to Gary and Darren. So we went through that little bit together as well, and then obviously going on from there, you know, he won Southern Area, Commonwealth, British, European, and to win the world title was, you know, just an unbelievable feeling, an unbelievable moment. My uncle Jimmy Davis was a top pro in the 1950s. He was a middleweight. He boxed like Randolph Turpin and all the greats of that time, and he coached me as a youngster. I sort of remembered and took his training methods into my fighters and tried to instill into the brain of the fighter a good boxing technique, you know. And I've watched all them old fighters, Sugar Ray Robinson, Tony Zhao. I've made the fighters watch them as well. I've made them sit down and watch these fighters of the 50s, because I believe that era at that time was probably the greatest era of boxing.
We've gone a full circle now. No one would have blamed Darren if he retired at the top, but he's gone straight back in at the deep end, the Lions Den, here to Germany. Was that ever a worry coming over here?
Well, obviously it would have been nice to have defended in England. We knew Felix Sturm was the mandatory challenger to the title before we boxed Daniel Gill, and it just so happens that when it comes to talking financial terms, that they was putting up a lot more money than we could ever dream of putting up over here. Number one now Darren's world champion, number one priority is obviously defending the title, but obviously, you know, Darren's got to, you know, earn a living now to keep his wife and kids, you know, or his family, you know, and that's priority in his life now.
Now he is champion. Have you approached things differently at all? And I'm talking, you know, more towards the mental side of things.
Not really, because you know, I found that he's got that little bit more confidence in himself now. We've come here to win. Felix Sturm's going to be a hard fight. We're on his own ground. You know, he don't give a lot away on his own ground, but I think that Darren's got the tools to beat him. He's got the style to beat him. He's got the youth and the hunger to beat him, and I think he'll come out victorious.
3.
So Tony Sims and Darren Barker, a really close relationship.
Carl, you surely understand that you have that relationship with Robert McCracken. How important is it to certain fights to have that?
Yeah, I think fighter-coach relationship is very, very important, especially when things aren't going your way. If it's getting tough in there, you need to listen to what your coach is saying, take the advice and keep calm.
Kell, you've obviously got a long relationship with the Ingalls, you know, when you were 10, 11 back in the Winkerbank gym. Now still you've got Dominic in the corner. Really important for you?
Very important, you know, there's love there. I've been there since I was 9-year-old. You know, when I get in that ring, I know that he's got my best interest in our art, and you know, to family, you know, it's very, very important to have.
Felix Sturm has Strudnik. He's been around when I was here in Germany. He's a big name, a lot of credentials behind him, close relationship, Glenn.
Yes, I think it's the same for both boys. Certainly Sturm, very, very good man in his corner, you know, and you need that. You know, when you're in this level of boxing, you're in championship fights, you know, it's going to get hard. There's no easy fights out there at this level, and you need somebody you can trust, and Sturm's got that.
Yeah, Fritz Sunak's been with them all, hasn't he? The Klitschko's, Darius Mikuszewski, and we popped by to see the camp, and they're a confident bunch, aren't they, Glenn?
It's a very professional bunch, very confident. I was pretty impressed with Sturm. We'd just been to see Darren Barker, who looked great, and you know, I was feeling pretty confident for Darren. Then we went to see Sturm, and that kind of knocked it on its head a little bit, because he was equally looked as good, was on the weight, was talking, wasn't he? Loves his boxing, you know, loves his history, but he's also got other things going on. You know, he's a promoter now, he's got business interests. I'm just wondering if he's looking to the future.
Quick prediction from the pair of you, Kell and Carl. Kell first.
Unanimous win, Darren.
Yeah, I think that's sensible. I think points win for Darren. He's going to struggle to get him out of there, but he can conclusively outbox him, that's for sure. Definitely.
What a terrific weekend in store. Don't miss any of it. On Friday, a ringside special, the amazing journey of Darren Barker, culminating in that sensational summer night when he dethroned Daniel Gill. 8 o'clock, Sky Sports 3. Then join us on Saturday at 9 o'clock, Sky Sports 1 in the Porsche Arena for the big fight. Sunday morning, 2 a.m. we're in Atlantic City for Rigondeaux, Tapia, Korobov and Macklin. Ringside next week, we're back home building up to the huge pre-Christmas cracker at the XL. About 15 fights on the card. Saturday, 6 o'clock, Sky Sports 3 and 8 o'clock, Sky Sports 2. The likes of Purdy, Mitchell, Agogo, Martin Murray, they're all on. It should be a fantastic time. Thanks very much to Carl, to Kell and to Glenn. They'll all be at the weigh-in. Join us on Sky Sports News, all the build-up on skysports.com as always. We can't wait for this intriguing battle. It's a really good fight. From us all, well, 4 of us, goodbye. We're a man down.
Yeah, here I am. Can Sturm derail the Parker Express?
We'll see you later.